All right, welcome back. We got part two of the left side seal install, and I forgot to mention that when you're doing this, before you take this engine apart, the left cover off, you want to release all tension on that clock spring, the Kickstarter spring, because the Kickstarter spring is very dangerous. And of course you want to take proper precautions, wear protective gear, eye protection, hand protection. Don't stick your hands near that spring, and follow the manual. It gives you all the necessary precautions, but the main thing is you want to release all pressure on that wind-up Kickstarter spring before you take this apart, because it can be very dangerous. Alright, with that out of the way, so I don't want anybody coming after me because they got hurt. Man, if you get hurt, you know, it's on you to protect yourself, and some of this stuff can be dangerous. It shouldn't be, but it can be, especially if you do it the wrong way. So, we're getting this thing back together. I looked up the torque specifications for that nut holding the clutch on, and it is basically between 22 and 25 foot-pounds. I didn't remember at the time. I guessed 28. I almost stopped at 25, but I torqued it to 28. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think I torqued the other side to 28 as well, so sue me, right? So we're just torquing that up and get this gasket back on. You should probably replace that original gasket. Excuse me. Well, if you take it apart, there's no way you're going to get an old gasket off in one piece. So you're going to have to replace that old gasket with a new one. So make sure you have that gasket before you get started. And then we're going to put this left side cover on. And I've gotten lucky. I've done this a few times at least. And basically you get it in place, and I forgot to take off the flywheel cover, because you're going to have to rotate the flywheel counterclockwise, I believe. And you also need to move that where the rear brake passes through to catch the starter arm. You need to move that so the starter arm is out of the way of the other starter arm that you're putting on. And then as you rotate the flywheel counterclockwise, you can kind of work it on, and it should pop on just like so. And then, of course, we got to go through and put all these Allen head bolts back on, which are much nicer than the original JIS screws that came with it, that have probably aged 35 years or so and get softer with age and easily stripped out. So the Allen head bolts were a nice addition. They're all the same size except for the two on the very end there. The previous owner had written, what did he write? 1978 Honda Express NQ50 on the engine, and as we all know, the NQ50 is not the Honda Express but the Honda Spree. So yeah, dude, you already messed up there, and you messed up this engine. So anyways, and then when I tighten all this stuff up, I kind of alternate, you know, go from one side to the other to kind of try to evenly tighten it up. Excuse me. But this engine has now has both seals replaced, and it's got a new piston and rings, new head and base gasket, new exhaust gasket. So this should be sealed up pretty nice, and it's going to get some fresh oil here soon as well. So I guess you get the joy of watching me tighten all this up. But anyhow, if you've come into ownership of a Honda Express, this is probably some good preventive maintenance. It's a bit of a pain in the ass because to get to these seals, you got to go through quite a bit to get to them. I'll try to put a link for that clutch puller tool, as well as I guess the left cover gasket and the seals as well. And I guess I need to do a crankshaft bearing replacement just to get that on video. But I guess the other thing I wanted to mention was when I did this for the first time, I did not have the benefit of any video. So now you've got a video. It's not exactly a painstaking step-by-step, here's exactly how you do things, but it should give you a pretty good idea. And that way you can feel a little less intimidated when you go to do it yourself. I guess the main things are to take your time, have a organized and clean workspace, keep your parts in order, and I guess the main parts you need to keep an eye on are the wave and flat washers behind that secondary drive sprocket, right in front of the main final drive gear. The 3-washer combination that goes over that and fits over, it's on the secondary gear and it goes over the final gear. And it's the thick washer, the bearing washer, and then the thin washer. Remember to torque your clutch nut, and remember to push your seal in flush with its housing, as well as clean out the interior of the housing before you put the seal in. So those are, and then when you put the left cover on, move that starter arm into the proper position and ease it on by turning the flywheel counterclockwise. So, and then of course always, test the kickstart to make sure that it winds properly, and then always remember to fill it up. I think it takes about 23 ounces of 10W40 oil. Make sure and fill it up before you start it up on the bike or do any significant testing with the Kickstarter arm. So hope that helps. Thanks for watching.